Hello and welcome to another installment of CSO Executive Sessions Australia. I'm Ed Kennedy, the editor of CSO Australia, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Simona Dymowski, Head of Information and Security for Helia. Simona, welcome.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks for having me here. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
2023, of course, follows a very eventful year for cybersecurity in 2022. How would you reflect on the year that was?
Yeah, it was a really big year. With obviously across the industry, with a lot of the incidents that we had, um, it really brought home how, you know, being Australians and living on an island, sometimes physically we think we are very far away from the happenings of the world. But what this brought forward is that we're really not that far away, and um, global incidents do affect us, whether that is geographical incidents, whether that is, the war in Ukraine and Russia. All of these things really bring home the fact that we're not so far away as we physically think we are. And so we've all, I think, across the industry as CISOs and cyber professionals, we have been looking at these events and taking real learnings from them. And wherever possible, we are looking at, how can we implement the learnings that these organizations have had through the incidents? How can we implement some of those learnings internally now? We don't need to go through an attack to know some of the things that need to be done. And if we haven't done them already, they're the sort of things that, as CISOs, we're thinking about. So it has actually heightened the focus, and I think it was needed from a cybersecurity perspective. I think as professionals, we know that we're not, no one is bulletproof, but at least from a government stance as well, I can see that there's been a lot of learnings that the government is taking from these incidents and enforcing and changing things for the better. So in my view, these incidents, really have highlighted how much focus we need to put as a whole community, as a whole country, in cybersecurity. So, that's a positive outcome that's come from all of this, and maybe only one of the only ones.
How do you see 2023 shaping up in the months ahead for cybersecurity?
Yeah. I mean, what we're every day, there's a new alert. There's always something happening in cyberland. And I'm talking at a global scale, and I'm talking about, the industry as a whole, not really speaking about, anything like further than that. But what I can see is that, we've got the threats are becoming more sophisticated, and this is probably not news for anyone in the industry. Threats are more sophisticated. There are, clear intentions that some of the threats have had in speaking particularly about Australian targets. So that's not something that we normally see frequently happen. We also have this probably self-imposed ban that used to be present with cyber threats around critical infrastructure seems to be kind of breaking down. So I think that in summary, I'd say 2023, we really, as an industry as a whole, we need to take a good hard look at the intelligence that we have from the events that occurred in 2022, and really focus 2023 on collectively, as a whole country, as a whole unit, bringing about change faster in the cybersecurity space and protecting our country, but also protecting our organizations and us as individuals faster. Like that has to be the aim for this year.
On the other side of the coin, what concerns you? What work do you think remains to be done surrounding the Australian cybersecurity sector?
I mean, some of the things that come to mind straight off the bat, I do a lot of work in the space for cybersecurity, women in cybersecurity or women in technology. So I do other I'm part of a number of associations which look at and associations as well as mentorships that I provide through the New South Wales Cybersecurity Association or Women in Cyber Networks. So look, I know that was a long intro to this, but one of the things that I'm looking at is, how can we get more women into the cyberspace? We have a shortage regardless. So regardless, there is also that problem. How do we get more people into cyber is probably the first question as well, because we do have a shortage in this space. How do we get more women in cyber as well? We need more people to help do all the things that I mentioned earlier. So that's one of the things that I constantly think about. I think that's, we have a skills shortage to start off with. So that's always on my mind. How do we move through things faster than what we have previously? It's quite a complex space. That's definitely a challenge. And, what sort of investment sometimes does that take in order to get, projects and initiatives off the ground potentially? And, not talking about individual organizations, but I'm talking bigger and broader, because I feel like this is more of a national problem rather than, just a particular organization. So I'm thinking about it a little bit more broadly. These are some of the things, we're also looking, I'm thinking about from people getting into this space. What do they need to have? How do we support more individuals again to provide some of the services within cybersecurity? Because cyber is actually not always just about technology, and this is a popular misconception that many people have. And in fact, there is the risk element in cyber that we need more people in. So I'm not just talking about that technology space, but there's the risk element, there's the human element as well. There is obviously, yes, the technical element, management of environments as well, and of the entire cyber sort of sector. So look, big things that it's not that I'm worried about them, but I think we need to do something about them fairly quickly.
How do you feel about the current state of cyber regulation in Australia?
Look, I think one of the things that the incidents that we had last year and what they highlighted was that we need to have, stricter, better, more enriched, possibly regulation around cyber. And I can see that the government is making a move on that. And so I think it's definitely needed, but I think the right steps are being taken now towards having better regulation across the cyber industry.
When it comes to automation, how would you reflect on the use of it in cybersecurity today? And what do you feel it's important all stakeholders remain mindful of going forward?
Another really good question. Look, I think without automation in cybersecurity or any, let's take any area or function, it is really hard for humans just like to do it all. So I think automation is definitely necessary. It enables us to do things quicker, the speed of processing. It enables us to not completely take away the human element, but, ideally reduce that error of margin that, if we have humans watching over machines or processes continuously, there may be an error of margin there where we can't cover everything as humans. So I think it's really important. Automation at the right level is critical and quite key in order to be able to get through thousands of bits of data, or millions, billions of bits of data, not thousands, at any given time. So I think it's necessary. I think we need to just be very mindful about the type of automation we are using. I know last year and probably this year, there's been a lot of talk about ChatGPT and, what sort of support or how can we, what sort of opportunities lie in having AI tools, as an example, help in this space as well. And so the two sides of this argument is, yes, we definitely need automation. But but we just have to be really mindful with some of these tools that are out, and they're fairly new, and we probably haven't explored all the pros and cons of using them. And as a minimum, there are some things that we shouldn't do when it comes to ChatGPT. I won't go into them all at the moment, but I think it's a fairly new, particularly for that one, it's a fairly new tool. And, we really need to, we haven't had enough time to assess what all the impacts could be. So I think we have to tread carefully, I think, in this space.
What insights would you share specifically with cybersecurity professionals keen to learn more from another professional in their field?
Look, I think in terms of the insights that I would share to other cybersecurity professionals, and some of these may not be, groundbreaking insights, but obviously the first thought and insight is to really stay across what's happening in the industry, because things move very fast, and sometimes always it's quite good to be well informed with what is the industry, what are the threat actors doing, how is the industry responding, what are the biggest threats that we have in this landscape, what's happening in Australia, what's happening further afield as well. So staying well informed and understanding what the threat looks like from a cybersecurity perspective is always very important. I think another insight is to remember that you can't do everything. You can't do everything all at once. So there's a lot happening. The answer to the first insight is that there's usually quite a lot happening. So one of the things, it's really good to leverage your organization's risk framework and understand, okay, where do we actually need to act and what do we need to do? This is still quite related to the work, but from a personal perspective, I think it's really important to keep that network going, because you do learn quite a lot from other people that are going through the same things. I'm part of a number of industry associations, like I mentioned, IESA. I'm part of a CISO tribe. I am part of the Security Women's Network, the New South Wales Cyber Security Association. I provide as well mentorship and coaching and advisory services as well for other people. And so, it's really key to keep connected with other people that are in the industry. It's also really key to, reach out. So if you are thinking about, how do I do X, Y, and Z, or, this is a problem that I'm having, there's quite a, there's a whole community of people there that can help with this. And it's really important to reach out. I think I'd probably leave it with some of those thoughts. And the last thing I'd probably say is just don't forget to take care of yourself, as a human. Really remember your well-being. This industry can be all-consuming. It can be, it never sleeps. You can be 24/7. There's always something to be looking at or doing, and there isn't enough hours in the day. So last thought is, as a human, as a person, don't forget to switch off and take care of you.
And with that last question, that brings us to the end of this conversation here. Thank you to those in our audience, and Simona, a special thanks to you for taking part in this chat today.
Thank you so much, Alfred.
Just as this has been a great conversation here, please keep an eye out for another instalment soon of CSO Executive Sessions Australia.